wrap-up of this face-to-face. I was glad to see that it was evaluated so positively. Actually, if I look back at the week, if I wrap up and try to define next steps, I also see it about this way. I think we rather nicely achieved our goals. If we look at the back at the week, we had a tour de table, which didn't allow each of us to explain what he was doing with regard to climate change, but which opened an idea with regard to what every region was doing with regard to adaptation or mitigation. I think it gave a first impression, and the fact that it is now online on the blog will also inform other people on this fact that we are working globally on climate change relevant issues. We have seen PowerPoints on climate change and network trends. We've discussed them in order to get somehow focused on an important task of the week, which was defining future cooperation in the network, defining working modalities. We have had an input on the climate and DRR check, which somehow became a core focus in these 5 days. There's an action plan now that we will promote this tool and that we will try to implement it in the countries where SDC is working. We had the PAC field trip, we had the ELA field trip, we had 15 open spaces on network development, core activities of the network and network themes. And today we worked again on the clarification of network development, prioritized topics. You see that the promotion of the climate and DRR check, guidance and clarity regarding adaptation and bringing mountains into the CC network has somehow emerged on the surface of our sea of network topics. For me, surprising is the mountains. I think Daniel did a huge lobbying job on the one hand, and a very successful lobbying job. But on the other hand, I think it wouldn't be possible to have such a result if there wouldn't be some kind of ownership at the individual levels of the networkers. So I want to felicitate everybody who contributed to this result. We have a clustering of open space discussion topics. In all these discussion topics we have like ideas how we could proceed to next steps. I think it's clear that we prioritized work on the network scopes, roles and modalities, and that we also continue to work on adaptation. This will be like our core activities in the next couple of months, so 2011 plus. But since we have lots of ideas what we're going to do with regard to different topics, we will also be able to organize ourselves online with regard to these other topics: environment, RED+, black carbon and carbon markets, mountains and bricks. Conclusions. I think with regard to personal relationships, I really saw quite happy faces all of the time. I saw people interact thematically, personally. I think the workshop really allowed to get in touch with each other, to know who the other person is. I think we have really reached that objective. As regards cross-regional cooperation and learning, I think the tour de table and summaries, the individual film viewed and discussed jointly, the participation in open spaces, they really opened doors for this cross-regional cooperation and learning. It is now up to us to make a follow-up. And we also have a plan with regard to the climate and DRR check, which involves not only one network, but 2 networks, which will help us to to make progress with this regard. Of this I'm convinced. We have had these 2 field trips on adaptation and mitigation, which allowed us to see possibilities with regard to these 2 specific approaches, but also with regard to challenges. We saw people and institutions coping with the now and preparing the future. I think the core of attention is somehow this future element that we should put our attention on this future element with regard to adaptation. There is on the one hand coping activities that stay relevant, that we have been doing for decades, but there are things that enter newly into development cooperation, which is really this adaptation, and we have an action plan with regard to clarifying and conceptualizing this issue so that everybody in the network will be able to deal practically, conceptually with this issue. Mitigation and adaptation, we saw that reducing CO2 and black carbon in energy-intensive sectors is possible and is impressive impact-wise, but there are also very important social, economical and ecological issues to cover in both projects. So we work in mitigation and adaptation, but we have to keep faithful to development cooperation principles. Yeah, and we clarified working modalities and future ways of improved cooperation. Sorry. It's now about to finalize the block in these last couple of hours, to finalize discussion reports, action plans, to make them available for all of us and for the people who follow our activities in the coordination offices, and probably even some partner organizations yet. I will charge myself to make a short 2 to maximally 4 pages report, which I'll be able to put on the intraweb until next Friday at latest. There's my question to you, whether this needs to be consulted or whether I can just send it. We can clarify this afterwards. Then there is, I think although we have the blog there, we should do a longer report on the whole event for the follow-up of all members, on network development, on action plans, on other thematic issues in the rolling planning, and also with regard to learnings as regards the planning of a workshop like this in the face-to-face. And now I think all of this wouldn't have been possible without you, without Asukam, without the people who helped us with the social reporting, without Nara and Riff, who did huge preparation efforts, and also during this meeting, who worked over hours to get this thing going, the steering group, and most of all, where is she, Jocelyn and Marita Borja for the planning on the Peruvian side of this workshop. Thank you very much.